Hi, my name is Kate Porter and I study bacterial evolution. Now, every time I say that to someone, it's usually followed by a comment such as, hasn't evolution already been proven by Darwin? They always say this like they're breaking bad news to me, as if the theory of evolution has never been explained to me before. Do not panic, that is not the case. Darwin's theory follows the idea that mutations generate randomly over time. If those mutations are beneficial, they're passed on to the next generation. Thus, each new generation is stronger than the one that came before it. However, my project focuses on that flat line at the top of our bacterial growth cycle. This is known as stationary phase. Stationary phase is the portion of a cell's life when it's not actively growing or dying. And despite the fact that a cell spends most of its life in this state, it's completely ignored by evolutionary studies. Now, stationary phase can arise for a series of reasons, but my project focuses on oxidative damage, which is when an oxygen atom is missing an electron. This creates a reactive oxygen species, or ROS. ROS can be bad news for a cell because it directly targets and damages DNA. This is where proteins like MFD come into play. MFD's goal is to make sure DNA is functioning at tip-top shape. Now, transcription is essential to a cell's survival. However, damage to DNA can cause it to halt. During normal growing conditions, MFD sees this damage and signals for it to be repaired. However, during stationary phase, the mechanism of this repair changes. And in many cases, this means that the DNA is functional, but is different than it originally was. This means there's now a mutation in the DNA despite the fact that the cell has not replicated at all. This is a huge advantage for bacteria. They don't have to replicate to create new, better versions of themselves. And we believe that this contributes heavily to things such as antibiotic resistance development. And I already have data I've generated indicating that the protein MFD plays a huge role in the development of the resistance to the antibiotic rifampicin, which is used to treat tuberculosis, which is fairly important in my opinion. I was like, however, without MFD, the ability to create these mutations substantially decreases, indicating that obviously MFD is changing the way that repair mechanism functions. Ultimately, the point here is that this mechanism of evolution is understudied, and we don't really recognize it despite the fact that stationary phase is occurring in a cell's everyday life. That includes in our bodies, on the things we touch, and exploring this concept is going to change the way we observe evolution as a whole. Thank you.